Hello, I'm Jenna. So today is just kind of a more spontaneous video, nothing fancy. The reason why is recently on Twitter, I was talking about a specific Kickstarter project that's been running, and it includes ASL and BSL, so you can learn it while you're playing the RPG. I was like, okay. Now, this is not the first time that they've done this. It's the same person. They did have a prior project a couple years ago. I can't remember, but then I saw it again. I was like, okay. So, okay. I got to talk about this. I read through the entire project, and I even went to the publisher website, their company business, whatever. Looked around everywhere at everything. And from my understanding, at least what I've learned, again, this is just my perspective, but the person who's actually making this is hearing. And if you don't understand what I mean by their hearing, it's somebody who is not deaf or does not have hearing loss. So just regular people that have regular hearing level are called hearing. So just for context. So the person is hearing. I was like, okay. Okay, so they're hearing. Maybe they know some sign, but that's what I'm assuming. They seem that they're involved in some aspect in the deaf community in England. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have any problem with that. Great. But they are hearing, and they are making an RPG product that includes sign, which is kind of a sticky subject. Some of you probably think it's not a big deal. Oh, it's nice. More people are going to lose sign language. They're going to, be able to communicate. And I agree with that. I think that is great. If more people would learn sign language or able to communicate better, that is great. However, that's not my problem. The problem within this context is the product itself is going to be sold. They're fundraising for Kickstarter. So meaning they, as a business, are going to sell a product that includes sign language. That's the problem. That's considered cultural appropriation. So what is cultural appropriation? Typically, that means that a person who is selling a product or using a specific thing or just really taking any part of another culture that they are not a part of. So they're taking that away from that culture without any sort of recognition, without kind of taking that other culture and putting them on a platform. It's kind of complicated, but that's a general concept. So in this sense, that applies. Deaf people, the deaf community, people who use sign language like that, are considered an oppressed and marginalized community. So we are. We struggle with discrimination, with language deprivation, and many other things. That is a fact. So ASL, American Sign Language, we really cherish that. That is our language. Same with BSL, people who live in the UK, same concept. Again, this is a really long story. I could go on and on about it, but I'm going to try to be succinct. If you want to, you can look online and see many different videos related to this issue of hearing people taking and teaching sign language and just discarding deaf people. And many hearing people think, okay, I'm going to learn sign language from another hearing person. And that is a problem. So they did say, oh, we will have, a deaf person in the video doing the signing. I'm like, okay, but that kind of relates back to talking about the product, which is written by hearing people, and hearing people own that, that company, publisher, whatever, who's making this. So all of the money that is going to be invested into this, now a small part will probably go to the people who are doing the signing, maybe a consult, like the art. I looked on there and it looks like the sign consult was like 3%. And they even admitted that, it's not written from a deaf perspective because there's no deaf people in the design process. I'm like, okay, you cannot separate sign from the deaf perspective. You just can't. Sign language belongs to deaf people, so you have to have a deaf perspective involved. But they're not. Conflict. Ugh. So, again, let me back up. Talking about money. Really, the whole point is about money. ASL, BSL, any sign language anywhere belongs to deaf people. So any product that includes sign language should be owned by deaf people. Period. End of story. No discussion. That's it. So for them to sell this, run this Kickstarter, be like, hey, look at this. And I mean, I looked at like the actual like advertising, kind of what were they showing? And a lot of it, almost all of it is about teaching sign language to hearing people. Nothing really showcasing like, here's a deaf person. Nothing at all. I didn't see anything. Maybe I missed something, but it took me a while. I looked for a long time and I didn't see anything. The only deaf representation is all the way at the bottom where it says there was deaf art. That's it. And there's going to be a deaf signer and a snapshot. That's it. That's all that I saw. I didn't see any promotion, anything related to a deaf organization, nothing related to anything like deaf, maybe who are well known within social media, influencers, anything like that. There was nothing at all. So, if I'm going to be honest with you, I am not comfortable with that project. I'm not telling anyone that you should sponsor or not sponsor that. I'm just kind of giving you my perspective of this and how I think it's a problem. I don't want to see this happen again. Honestly, I am sick of it. Over it. Deaf people are sick of it. They're over this. And again, I understand it's a cool concept. It really is. But you have to leave sign language to the deaf community. If you're curious about it, if you want to collaborate, work as an equal, partner with deaf people, let them take the lead. That's where we're going here. That's the key. I don't see that happening here. So I really have a lot of issues with that project. And again, deaf people all over probably don't know, and I don't blame them. Really, the creator is the problem. I did mention about it on Twitter, and they approached me about it and said, hey, can we chat in private about this? And I said, no, private is personal between us, and I don't have anything personal against you. My issue is the project itself. And I think that deaf people deserve to be aware and know about this conversation. It should be transparent. That's why I put everything out there. Everything I mentioned, again, no personal criticism against the people, just looking at the problem related to using sign language within a product made by hearing people. That's all. As of filming this video, I haven't seen a response to the things that I mentioned. I'm hoping that maybe they're realizing their mistake. But again, I cannot force anyone to do anything. All I can do is call it out and show that there is a problem. Hopefully they understand, they become more aware. For any designer out there, if you're ever curious and you want to work with deaf people, don't be afraid. Talk with deaf people, talk with anyone who's deaf. Do a consult. If you want to make a product that includes sign language, make sure that, you have one or multiple people that are deaf involved and let them take the lead. They know their language. They know their culture best. It just doesn't make sense for hearing people to take the lead on this. It just makes no sense. So that is my 2 cents here. So feel free to share down below. Spread the word, share the video.